Okay, so this time around, we shall explore relationship red flags. This is another pre-made already tier list specifically for red flags in a relationship, and I thought it's going to be quite interesting to, well, have a discussion, inspect it, and see how it goes. Red flags generally are is quite an awesome topic to have a discussion about, especially when you see people who tend to think that some of the red flags are not as red, and maybe some people are overreacting. So it's quite the dangerous zone to thread. All right, let's jump in to this. The first one is controlling behavior. Controlling behavior is an interesting one because just like with a lot of things, there's always a spectrum, right? You cannot, I mean, there's a difference when you're trying to be controlling and when you're just straight up full in control of your partner's life. Controlling behavior can come from a lot of different places. Maybe you were traumatized before, and because of that, now you're much more cautious, so you don't trust as easily, and so on. Now, it definitely sucks to have a controlling partner. I would say it's A. It's not S tier, because I feel like it still can come from various places that can be healed and worked upon. And if you have a truly good communication, you could clear it out ultimately. Because, I mean, why are you controlling? Because, well, you're full of insecurities. There really is no other reason for you to control someone unless you're a sociopath. And that's what I wanted to say. Um, but yeah, otherwise, there's no real much point in controlling, as I see it. Right. History of cheating. Now, cheating to me, this is again personal view. Cheating to me is an absolute deal breaker. If we agree that we're having a monogamy, we're exclusive, we're here for each other, and you cheat, cheating shows to me a lot of issues. First of all, sign of weakness. Second of all, absolute void of trust. People can justify cheating in many ways. Maybe their partner was, not that good or abusive or whatever, so they decided to cheat and so on. I don't really see any excuses unless your life was threatened and, you were supposed to do it as part of someone's sixth game, but that sounds more like a weird movie than actual real life scenario. So a person who cheats, cheated, will very much likely cheat again. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, and maybe that person finally found someone worthy, and now they're like, oh, nope, I'm a converted person. I'm gonna fully dedicate myself. Still, if someone is had history of cheating, that shows that they never really cared too much for a relationship, never truly committed. Um, they decided that the heat of the moment is more important. So history of cheating means they'll go back to cheating most likely because this is something they know how to do where they experience comfort, pleasure, passion, all of those things. Especially if you think long-term relationship, they can become kind of a bit boring, stale, and people can find a lot of justification why they cheated or why cheating might be a good thing. Now, next one, isolating you from friends and family. This to me is the same as controlling. Honestly, not too much of a difference. It's just a part of the controlling behavior. This is specifically targeting to isolate you from your world. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. And it's just that with this kind of thing, I believe you can work with your partner and have open communication. Try to, help them understand a little bit better how the world operates and that not everyone is out to get them. While history of cheating is something they already did, there's not much you can change about that. It's a big thing. But with controlling and isolating you, I mean, honestly, in theory, you could work through it and fix that behavior. Of course, it's dangerous to get in a relationship with the I can fix them mindset. Love bombing. I've I honestly have no clue what love bombing is. Let's see. What what is love bombing? Love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation and abuse where someone showers a new partner with excessive affection, gifts, and premature commitment to gain control, according to it often acts as grooming, thinking to build trust rapidly, only for the perpetrator to later become controlling, emotional, abusive. Okay, intensive orders of affection, rapid relationship progression, pushing to make things official, move in together, or discuss marriage very quickly, excessive gift giving, lavish. Okay, I see. Based on that, love bombing to me is B. It's definitely a red flag. I mean, again, all of these are red flags. Each one of these, like you see it, you should be like, okay, well, this one is weird. Um, it's just that it's nice to get a lot of awesome affection and so on, and at the very least, you see that what kind of affection that person is capable of, and then you start to work, because ultimately, it's both of your choice to move in, get married, and all of that. If one partner is just pushing, pushing, and the other becomes a pushover, well, relationship is a thing where the two of you are involved. So if one of you is pushing and the other is letting being pushed, both of you are at fault if something bad kind of happens in your relationship and you're not happy with it. So love bombing is B. Not really wasn't familiar up until now with the term. We'll see. Maybe in the future my mind will change, but ultimately I see it as B because you see it way beforehand. Someone becoming a little bit too much about you. Constant need for reassurance. Constant need for reassurance. Hmm. So this also stems from insecurities, pretty much like control and behavior. Um, the person needs to make sure that indeed you love them, you'll be there, it's all good, and so on. Well, first of all, if you know their love language, it's easier to reassure them as well through all of this. And this is you building together a path to kind of help them go through something. I'll put this as like I see red flag, simply because a lot of people they have the savior complex, and it's they feel nice when they're so much needed by someone, um, almost as if they get a mission. So it could be at least short term, nice kind of relationship when someone really needs you all the time. Of course, it can very get tired and nagging very quickly. Absolutely true. But I feel like with this, you can properly work if you build the relationship correctly, communicate openly, you show them there for you, you set ground rules, and you explain in which situations they should kind of, let's say, ask for reassurance and in which they shouldn't, then it's fine. It could work itself out. Disregarding boundaries. Disregarding boundaries, they ignore this stuff, right? Well, it's kind of between A and C to me, so I'll put it in B. Because to me, it's always about open communication. If your partner disregards your boundaries, right? Let's say you're in your room, you want some private time, and they just barge in, they just start to share about their day, or with your friends, they join in and they start sharing stories that they shouldn't. I can't. I mean, you should put them, well, honestly, in their place. Explain that there's certain boundaries they shouldn't be crossing, and if they're still crossing those boundaries, well, then there's not much left to talk about, and just well, break up with that partner, because otherwise you're just gonna start to become secretive and plot things, and have secret meetings with friends where your partner cannot appear, and it just becomes this whole drama where somehow you become um, the one to take the blame. So disregarding boundaries to me is kind of like an easy red flag. Like if they crossed it, you're like, well, bro, you shouldn't be doing it. You have a discussion. If it's not solved, well, then, arrivederci. Not taking accountability. Hmm. Honestly, also B. You see, not taking accountability is a difficult one because a person needs to go over their ego in order to start taking accountability. It's quite the it's quite a challenging transformation, and it takes time. It's not like one conversation solves it. It's multiple various scenarios where they need to be confronted, think about the situation, analyze it, and then ultimately say, you know what, actually, I should have taken accountability. I should not have moved the blame to someone else. Um, my fault, my bad, I'm sorry. So this is like something you can work with. To me, very similar level to disregarding. You know, it's a good one. Honestly, not taking accountability is A. Disregarding boundaries is easier, at least for me, to imagine dealing with. Um, while taking accountability, you really need to explain why that person should have thought kind of differently about the whole thing. Um, while disregarding boundaries, you clearly just state how you were offended or you did not like a specific situation. Because in not taking accountability, they can just say, "Yeah, okay, whatever, I'm sorry," but not, they didn't actually feel like they're at fault. They have some sort of justification for it. Jealousy over platonic relationship. Honestly, it's like C. Um, I mean, all of these red flags, they pretty much stem from various random insecurities, right? Like just like all of our problems. But jealousy over platonic relationships, again, all about clear communication. That you have platonic friendships. Now, if the platonic relationships here refer to you having um, with the opposite um, sex relationships, then that's a different topic. I don't really believe a guy should have many platonic relationships with other women while he is in an actual committed relationship because those things they just kind of become weird. It's okay to be friends with other women when it's inside a friend's company, but to me it would be weird when you and that woman friend of yours would meet separately, um, discuss various sensitive things, or especially help her with various relationship stuff. Just weird. And so is for your partner to be with the opposite as well. So let's see. I feel like a few good conversations here should relax the thing. Now, you see, if your partner has history of cheating, right, and then you develop jealousy over platonic relationship, it also kind of makes sense because based on their previous behavior, this is the kind of thing you can expect. But we really shouldn't be lumping all of these kind of things together, so I'll put it and seal it at rest there. And avoiding difficult conversations. Well, it's identical to not taking accountability because you need to have a serious conversation about what happened. And they're avoiding that. They're avoiding taking accountability um, and just kind of leaving the whole thing on you. Now, with this, I feel like I'm okay with how this looks like. Cheating to me is like absolute worst thing. If I learned that my partner was like a big time cheater, uh, that changes things. It's still one thing, of course. Well, everyone has their past. We shouldn't judge. That is true. But there are different kinds of pasts as well. There are very different kinds of pasts. And a person who is known to be a cheater, I don't see. I personally don't see how much trust you can put into that person. Now, being controlling, isolating you from your friends, and so on. They're not entering difficult conversations with you because they also not taking accountability. Those are absolutely harsh, but you can still do something about it. Like they're fixable. History of cheating is unfixable to me. Yes, you can argue, well, now they're not going to cheat. That is true, but the fact that they have a history of cheating is a very big issue. B. Love bombing and disregarding boundaries. I feel like these are easier to address because they're early signs that there's something wrong with your partner. Like love bombing apparently is just from the very start, while disregarding boundaries, you very much quickly see when they start to do that. So I feel like it's easier to highlight those things and, well, discuss it or kind of stop the whole thing. Constant need for reassurance and jealousy over platonic relationships. Both of those can be fun, especially short-term relationship. I mean, you get someone needy, school, you give them attention and they just want so much more of your attention. Of course, can be tiring, but this is kind of like think for short term. Unless you want to truly help the person with being almost personal therapist in that sense, where you build a life to make sure they're okay and all the toxic past relationships kind of go out of their system. It's fine, of course. And so is jealousy over platonic relationships. I mean, ultimately, you shouldn't be jealous. You should be just fully secure in you and your partner, knowing that you're their number one. They wouldn't go to anyone else. But if your partner has a lot of various other friendships, so called, with the opposite sex, then it's a questionable thing that you should definitely discuss and share how you feel. But it's also important to understand how you feel. Like, does it stem from the fact that you're simply jealous because you're insecure, you're thinking you're not good enough for your partner, or it stemmed from some other place? And once you know, it's much easier to address all of those things. But yeah, on that, honestly, this is the second tier list. I said the first one could be controversial. I feel like this one could be way more controversial. But on one thing that I'm definitely standing firm is the S one. Like to me, S is the one that wouldn't move anywhere. The others, I'm pretty sure there could be quite good convincing arguments to move them somewhere here. In any case, thank you very much for listening.